Everybody, we are back. It is Safe to Launch Favorites Podcast, Favorites Channel, Favorites Everything. We are back. You guys already know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, subscribe. Hit the like button if you like it. Hit the dislike button if you don't like it. Leave a comment if you like it. Leave a comment if you don't like it. Also follow us on Twitter at the Mark John NFL for me, at Glen Rockney for Glen, and of course, pandasubs.com. Use discount code TDL, and that is 35% off. All right, guys. So we are back today. It is Friday Night Live. We're getting it, turned up. You know what I'm saying? Get it lit. It's we're the long hair don't care show. So
Not at all.
You know what I mean? We're out here. Hope everybody's. You got any comments yet? I haven't seen that. No, not getting the comments.
No.
I see the views. No comments. Yeah, there you go. Here we go.
There you go. Yeah. Hey.
Yes.
Is this thing on? Hey. Anybody hear me?
Yeah, that's funny. All right, so today we're gonna be doing some cool stuff. I did a little deep dive into quarterback draft history. Try to see. I was just interested to see if age was a factor, and I learned something really crazy during trying to figure out if age was a factor. That like age really doesn't matter, but we'll get into that later.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about the pro days, and of course, Michael Penix is really hot right now. I was thinking about his 40 time, and I remember I posted that 4.33.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's fast, but he ran faster than I thought. That's.
I was close. I was close, man. I was that. I was thinking when I hit that 4.46. I was like, you know what? Maybe I was just let tell the future. You know what I mean? Just letting everybody know he's pretty fast.
Pretty good.
But I mean, yeah, he had a great day. Well, probably the most athletic guy in the draft. I mean, nobody else did drills. Everybody else was like, I'm just gonna throw. And Michael Penix is like, why are you guys calling me slow and unathletic? And he's had a 36-inch vertical leap. All that good stuff. So we'll get into that. Of course, we'll answer all your guys' questions too. So we got Q&A, and then we'll do some more scenarios. So just show a little bit of the rundown here. So pro day visits, talk about Michael Penix at 13, QB draft history, and O'Connell to start over Minshew, because we really didn't talk about that much last week. And those comments by AP, which I thought were interesting, right? What he talked about with Aiden O'Connell. He's just such a defensive guy. It's just because it's so. It's just there. He's like a defensive guy. He's really letting kind of the offense going to be up to Getsy and Mangarello and the offensive line coach. He's really trusting his coaches, and I think Marvin Lewis is going to have his backbone too. I think he's going to be really behind him on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's AP is definitely just a linebacker. I mean, when you think about it, like he's a linebacker. I do think he knows more about the defense, X's and O's than I think he gets credit for from like the mainstream media. I don't think that's only going to be up to Patrick Graham. I think he's definitely going to be involved on some defensive stuff, especially, I mean, clearly in the game plan, but I think, I don't know. I saw a switch flipped a little bit, when he took over. But yeah, with the offense, it's going to be right away. I mean, they didn't keep Jacobs, so they clearly don't even if he does have takes on the offense, I don't think Telesco cares.
Yeah.
Right. Like Telesco is going to just go get who Tom Telesco wants. Now I do think, is that a good thing with Telesco? We'll find out. I'm cautiously optimistic. I've kind of enjoyed what he's done so far, albeit it's less moves than I thought there'd be.
Mm-hmm.
But like knowing you can't draft defensive tackles and going to sign Christian Wilkins, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like that's a good idea. Knowing, I think his philosophy looks pretty good so far. But yeah, I think AP is there. He's our Dan Campbell. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what we're looking at with AP.
Yeah. See, that is what I think too. And I can just tell by his quarterback answers, just he's a winner. Bo Nix, 61 starts. Wow. It's like he knew about the guys, right? Like he knew
cracked his ass. Yeah, nobody cracked his ass too hard. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's what he was thinking. Like, damn, somebody didn't crack Bo Nix hard enough to knock him out.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's what he was kind of going into. It's like these winner things, and I think a lot of people got taken back by that. Oh, you can't be saying that, AP, but he's a defensive guy, man. That's all he cares about. As long as the quarterback wins, and as long as you go out there and you get the job done and we don't lose, defense is going to do its job. Luke Getsy, you got this. Scangarello, go look at these guys. you guys figure this out. I'm gonna go watch Terry Arnold. I'm gonna go watch Latu. I'm gonna go to all these different other pro days. You weren't thinking the Raiders would be at UCLA, but there's AP. Because he's obviously watching some guys over there, right? That he wants to see. And they said Craig to Oklahoma. Not all of them went to Oklahoma, but Craig worked out Tyler Guyton. So I mean, that's
very interesting,
right? And then then they're all at Jaden Daniels pro day, right? So I mean, they met with Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
And they didn't go to North Carolina, which that was going to tell me a lot. They didn't go to North Carolina. They went to Washington.
Yeah.
With Getsy and Craig. And they did meet with Penix. They have a top 30 visit, I think, set up with Penix, or like a private workout that he said. So they're looking at Penix too. I was kind of interested. I mean, they probably sent some scouts over to see May, or maybe they already have it figured out or whatever. But I thought that was interesting because you're looking at Penix, but Penix is the guy that probably they think they can get at 13. But yeah, we're gonna see how Penix grows. I think his pro day is gonna have him like just off.
Yeah, he's clearly like inside the top 20 is not out of the question anymore. I mean, there's been nobody who's been ping ponged up and down the first round more than Michael Penix. So it's interesting. After the Texas game, it was damn, like another top 10 quarterback we got here. Like, this is going to be crazy. And then after the Michigan game, people were like, okay, maybe not so much, which I know is not really how you're supposed to look at it, but we can't help it as fans. And now after that pro day, I mean, hell, I'm impressed. I expected about 4.57, 4.58, which would have been fine. That wouldn't have been bad. All I mean, but like, yeah, I didn't know he had a vertical leap like that. I know his Indiana days. In fact, I knew him a little bit more as a runner at Indiana, just from the games I would watch and gamble on. And he was a bit more of a runner, I thought. Like I'm not basing that off anything, but I remembered him as kind of like a dual threat quarterback at Indiana. Then I think at Washington he was like, oh, a pocket. This is nice, and that. But I guess my question to you is, okay, Telesco controls who comes in, who comes out, right? And it's clear that AP probably doesn't have. We're used to these Josh McDaniels, John Gruden guys coming in and being like, get me my guy. You know what I like. And if you don't do it, we got issues. And I'm passing me the sticks if I don't like one of your picks, and it's interesting now, but if Telesco drafts a Penix, right? Do you AP could still favor Aiden O'Connell over Penix the first year? And I think that would be the craziest thing. Like AP decides who starts the game, right? As far as I'm concerned. I mean, I'm sure he would listen to Luke Getsy, but at the end of the day, that's his ass that gets reamed if he puts the wrong quarterback out there. That's AP's problem. So I think it's going to be an interesting thing to develop. And we keep talking about Michael Penix now in the last week that he's just on the Raiders now. So it's kind of weird. I've never seen a quarterback get talked about more as just like on the Raiders as Michael Penix. So it's like almost like this done deal. The jersey edits almost look like real. It's really weird. And but I'm just saying, like, if that next tier of quarterback past Drake May, like below Drake May gets drafted, it's going to be interesting what AP actually thinks of that guy once he's in the building.
Yeah, Michael Penix is super interesting because he has a huge arm, right? I mean, his arm is huge. Yeah. And at Indiana, I actually went and watched some Indiana a little bit, and he was a different quarterback.
Right.
The thing is, he got hurt a lot, right? So he went to Washington. He didn't move it as much, and he didn't get hurt as much, right? He didn't really get hurt at all, and he kind of stayed in the pocket and became more of a pocket passer. But the thing is with that, is like that. I think that's a good thing when you think about it that way, because if he kind of goes from that runner, because that's what I remember the best. I did not remember this pocket guy that kind of sat in the pocket and threw the ball from the pocket all the time. It was a totally different guy in Indiana when you start to when you saw it and you saw him run and jump, and it was like, oh, okay. And then you start to have little flashbacks. It's just recent, it's kind of recency bias a little bit too. And he's just hurt all the time, man. I mean, every time, like, oh, who's that quarterback from Indiana? And the guy's like not playing anymore, and Indiana starts falling off. I mean, what are you supposed to expect? So, and then he kind of changed his skills. And right now we hate pocket passers. We hate them. It's like, if you play from the pocket, what is that? Like it's a weird thing, because Patrick Mahomes is like an anomaly, or Josh Allen. Those two are just anomalies. Josh Allen is probably the biggest anomaly, or just he really shouldn't be as good as he should be. And when you're betting on that type of guy to happen all the time, it's not going to work. So I think it's a good thing for Penix. I was kind of turning on Penix a little bit too. I was kind of like talking myself into it. Matt was making fun of me on the last show because I was talking
Yeah.
myself into Penix. It's just he has a huge arm. You watch the throws, like,
Yeah, no, that's
good
what stands out.
Lord,
That's what
right?
stands out.
Yeah,
It stands out that way. I'm still at I understand the quarterback market. I understand QB inflation. I understand how that works in the draft. If he's the pick at 13, I'll be like, this will be my action. Whew, okay. That'll be my reaction when that happens. Straight up. And I'll film it just to make sure that that's true. Like, I will film it when it happens. But like for the most part, I'll be like, okay, I'm excited. There's a guy in the building that's bigger arm than anybody on the roster right now. I'm also a little kind of like, what? Man, my big thing. I don't know if this was on the doc. I saw the docket, but I don't know if we're too early on this. But I'm just saying, my
yeah.
big thing is like,
You got it, kind of. But keep going.
what are
It's
we?
my
What are we passing on? What are we passing on to take Michael Penix at 13? And how much does that move the needle? That's just all I'm saying. That's maybe a preview for later. But
yeah. Because we should stick to the pro days. But I mean, his pro day was just so. It wasn't even about him throwing the ball because I didn't even really think they showed that aspect. I mean, cause that's the thing with pro days is like these guys do these little fancy throws and all this fancy stuff and spins and Zach Wilson just made it totally non-existent anymore. Nobody cares about pro days because Zach Wilson did the crazy throw where he like flipped it like 80 yards and I was like, oh my god, and he got signed because of that. I mean, he didn't get drafted because of that, but I mean that just kind of showed his talent. And I think the thing about Michael Penix's pro day, which is different, is that it was about his athleticism. It was a quarterback because we were all had questions about that. And I know some people are like, oh, what's a vertical leap and stuff like that. But I mean, just knowing that he's that athletic kind of takes him apart and puts him apart a little bit from these other guys. And that's why quarterbacks should do these drills. I don't know why they all just skip them.
Yeah.
Because like there's other quarterbacks who are athletic in this draft that if they did those drills, it really lifts you up. I don't care what anybody says. These guys want the best athletes in the first round. They're trying to go after the best athlete. The guy's not a great athlete. He's probably not going first round. So if you could show you're an athlete, unless you could totally show it on film like Jaden Daniels, I mean, Michael Penix did the right thing because it wasn't even about him throwing. That was the difference between his quarterback pro day and other ones. It had nothing to do with the way he threw the ball. Is that he just shocked us with his athleticism. We're all shocked by it. So, like, I know some people will say they weren't shocked, but somebody clocked that at a 4.46. They posted it, right? And I mean, he probably had a fast time. People try to shut that down. It was a 4.55. It was a 4.55. So
that would be fine with me though. 4.55, I'm fine with too with him. Like that's functional as hell. Like
that's Russell Wilson.
That's a tight end. I mean, like that's like a solid tight end thing. And you're talking about a guy who we're just asking him a couple thoughts on this. Functional mobility, which I've heard Mo Moton talk about a little bit, like the functional mobility. I completely agree. That's like really what you want out of your quarterback, is because that was what we hated about the last long-term quarterback for the Raiders. I don't want to bring it up. I don't want to start discussions or anything, but there was when we saw 6 yards in front of us that could have been taken. Can you go get that for me? Because so much of the NFL is that rather than most people, the whole like, can you break off a 35-yard run at any given moment? Yeah, that's awesome. But we've also seen a lot of guys lean on that too much and run into brick walls when you're trying to contend for a title. But for me, it's like, if there's 8 yards to be found when everybody's covered, can you go get that for me? And then with the pro days, what you're talking about is Penix benefited the most from his pro day, in my opinion. JJ has been benefiting from his interview process. I think everybody's kind of known what JJ McCarthy is as a prospect, but I think he's really impressing teams and his win-loss record. But Penix was like, what questions do I have? The question was never, can he throw the football?
Yeah.
He's clearly has the best arm in the draft. Just arm. Like just when you get on that back foot and you need to get a ball, 30 yards down the field on a rope, like it's Penix. But we were like, how athletic is he? And that's the question he answered. Drake May, to me, it's like his pro day, I just saw what I knew was there already. And we've been fooled by the best pro day I've ever seen. Guess why Raider fans know that more than anybody? Jamarcus Russell had the best pro day anyone's ever seen. He did. Everybody, it blew him out of the water. And it's funny, the person who actually said that was Mike Mayock. So that adds insult to injury there. You got two separate failed regimes commenting on pro days there. And you've got But then, Manziel, all these other guys have great pro days. But just proving that you're something that we don't see on tape, that's what the pro days, that's what we can actually take from pro days, rather than, oh, wow, he threw that ball 70 yards on the run. It's like there's nobody that just does that you didn't know before could do that at their pro day.
Yeah. Did Drake May have a good pro day? Did he?
I just saw the big highlight, oh my god, the head exploding emoji, where I don't know if he did or not.
Did you see the missed throw one? You didn't see the missed throw?
No, I didn't watch this whole pro day. I just mean, but people.
I mean, that went viral too. His missed, it did. It went viral.
Okay.
I mean, because that's what Drake May. Drake May is just a raw project. I mean, people don't want to admit it. Yeah, it's a project. I mean, I think he has the smarts to figure it out in the NFL. It's just how good are you going to be? Are you going to be a top 10 quarterback for real? For real? That's what I'm looking at. You might wow me with throws. You might have like a PFF grade of 85 because you're big time throws, but are you going to be top 10 consistently? That's what when I look at Drake May, that's what I think about. Because to be honest, I think he'd be a top 15 quarterback. And he probably even come out like everybody's gonna be like, this is this that because he's really smart. He sets protections and stuff like that. Right. But it'll just be games where he just gets hit a lot, and then everything's just going into the stands. So,
okay, but I guess my point was that there was nothing to be learned from Drake May's pro day. There was nothing. I don't think could you learn that you did? Because you saw him miss stuff on tape though. So what I mean, if you saw him miss at his pro day, that's something you already saw on tape. We just didn't see the Michael Penix vertical leap really on. I don't know. Maybe there's clips, but that to me is like, whoa, that's crazy. You know what I mean? That's something I can actually be like, wow, that's something that doesn't show up on his tape. Drake May, certain things show up on his tape. Jaden Daniels, certain things show up on his tape, but their pro days kind of are just like, all right, okay, sure,
cool,
yeah, but exactly. So, but and it's fair to say that the Raiders could have been there for Troy Fontenot too. You know what I mean? They had a private meeting with him. I mean, and sign me up. By the way, I mean, I'm still man. That guy's a beast. So, I mean, we're talking about I see a little Zach Martin kind of situation going on with him right now that really, what if they're there for him?
They were there for him, probably.
Yeah.
Most, because James Craig was there. James Craig I've been following where the coaches have been going, because I think that's been super interesting.
That's the O-line coach, right, for everybody who doesn't know. James Craig,
James Craig is the O-line coach, new O-line coach from San Francisco. He used to be assistant O-line coach in San Francisco, and he was won the Joe Moore Award with the Joe Moore Award with the LSU offensive line in 2019 with Joe Burrow and all those boys. So there's no QB coach at the UW Pro Day. Could that be something? Could that be nothing? But Getsy was there. So that's so it's so that's when it gets interesting. Was Getsy there to watch, Fontenot too? But which would make sense, but I mean, they saw Michael Penix. You know what I mean?
That vertical though might have said, "Ho!" You know what I mean?
What did he do?
Troy, hold on a sec. We'll get back to you in a sec. Your quarterback is jumping out of the gym.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think what's interesting too is Daniel Jeremiah used to work for the Chargers, and he was the first one to do that. He was like Michael Penix at 13. So, but it's where the QB coaches have been going. They went to go see Michael Pratt. Champ Kelly was there too.
That was interesting.
Jaquan Jackson is a wide receiver out there that they could be looking at in the lower rounds. I'm starting to dive into these wide receivers. The only guy, everybody knows I'm a big fan of Ladd McConkey. So if Ladd McConkey's at 44, and they took him, some Raiders fans might be mad, but you just have to watch it. You just have to wait until somebody gets shook. We just replace Hunter Renfrow with a taller one and bigger and a little faster. So it would be very nice to do that if they did that. Keon Coleman's pretty good. He's a stud. Of course, he's Xavier Leggett. He's a damn stud too.
Interesting.
I think Xavier Worthy. He's just really fast. I don't know how good he's really going to be.
For what about speed, AD Mitchell though? AD Mitchell, I feel like is still the better guy on Texas.
Yeah, but he doesn't get a lot of targets.
Yeah.
So you really got to be looking. You got to really had to be watching, and I wonder he's not that fast, right? What did he run?
No, he ran well. I thought
He
AD
did.
Mitchell. Yeah, he had a good combine. I thought. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll look it up right now.
He doesn't look that fast on. See, I don't like that.
4.34. He ran a 4.34.
See, he doesn't look that fast on film to me. So
Okay.
that's interesting. I kind of had that thought process. I'm like, he's not that fast. You're like, what do you mean? He ran a 4.35, and I'm like, oh, I don't like that.
Okay, but you were saying the wide receiver. You like Leggett. You like those guys. I like Leggett too.
Leggett looks like he runs a 4.3 on film, and he's like 6'4". Keon Coleman, he's a great route runner. He has a lot of bendiness for how tall he is. And, for you to be able to bend like that, he's not very fast. You can tell he's not that fast, right? But I think he could become like a Michael Thomas type of guy because he has a lot of bend where he can get open, runs really good routes, very good route runner, knows how to set people up, he can get set corners up and stuff like that. So those are probably some of the guys if they wanted to go later on, because he has drafted like the most. I saw some little graph. I don't know if you saw this. Some PFF guy put out a little graph of a chart basically of what every GM drafts the most, and he's drafted like 4 or 5 wide receivers, right?
Yeah.
So the Raiders kind of have an empty. It's not empty, but it's just a 3 guy.
Could use a little something. Yeah.
Could use maybe a couple. You know what I mean? So, like, even back, like, we're looking in the 5th. That's what I'm saying. They're going to watch Jaquan Jackson from Tulane. Michael Pratt was there too, and the QB coach was there to watch Michael Pratt. So they're doing their kind of due diligence and really studying the offensive side of the ball. We can talk about defense a little bit. I think they feel like they're a little bit set on defense.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think they like what they like. I think corner is the big one for them, but besides that, I kind of see them really having an offensive draft where we're just picking like 4 offensive guys in like the first 4 picks. And it's like 2 guards, maybe a tackle, a wide receiver, quarterback,
anything.
All these guys, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be offense. Because I feel like that's what the pro days have been heavy. I mean, the only one where they went, was the defensive guy, Coach Leonard. He went to Florida State, which is very interesting. So,
yeah, I think they're doing their due diligence at the pro day. Like, I think they're ready to take whatever at 13. What I'm excited about that we haven't seen in a while. Again, I didn't hate Ziegler the way a lot of people did. I thought Ziegler did an okay job, clearly trying to give a maniac players that he like thought he wanted, but I thought he found some good players and did a couple nice things in free agency. But like before that, it felt like Raiders are going to take a defensive end at pick 4. Raiders are going to take a corner at this time. Like, it felt like we knew position wise, and then we would be shocked by the player they reached on. We were like, oh, they'll probably take this guy. Damn it, the guy 3 rounds from now went. That was the case. I think right now they're ready for a while. Like, Roma Dunze is there at 13. Like, what happens? You know what I mean? Like, I think there's a lot of things that could happen. Jared Verse, a lot of these guys that could be there at 13 that might make the fan base go, what? Like, we needed this. But to be honest, like, the Raiders just need good players. Like, and they've needed that for a while. It's just a lack of misses in the draft really is better than like this one particular player that the Raiders need. And I think you're right about defense. I think they do feel like they are set for the most part. However, have they done a top 30 visit with Latu or no?
No, yeah,
which I think is interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I know they clearly like him and are intrigued by him. But to me, like you said last episode, that was for medical a lot of times. That was top 30, and I'm like, I used to hear all about his neck, and I don't hear about his neck anymore. And I'm interested if they maybe trade back, or even at 13 are like, this is what I got best available here. If Broncos take Penix or something, and they're like, damn, what do we do here?
Yeah.
That is where the draft gets really, really interesting. And the pro days, you're right. I mean, the D-line coach going to Florida State's not nothing.
Yeah. You know who's really looking at Penix, though, is the Giants. What if he goes at 6?
I mean, what if they took Daniel Jones before anybody was ready for them? I know it's not the same regime, but these guys, I mean, quarterbacks got teams fall. Quarterbacks, I think a lot of teams, for the most part, have like done the like don't fall in love with one guy. Like, trust the consensus board. Like, teams are starting to adopt that a little more. But with quarterbacks, I think they go with their heart every time. So if like one quarterback is their guy, they just take him.
Yeah.
And I could see that. I could see like Drake May just staring at the Raiders at 13. I'm telling you, if he doesn't go top 3, he's slipping far, I bet.
Yeah. Random question. This is just random because I just came to my head. If the Giants take Penix, would you trade for Daniel Jones?
Oh,
the Raiders don't have a quarterback.
So provided that there's so the draft would have to be like this. I like DJ. No, seriously, I like DJ. That injury, we saw him get injured. And that might sway me a little in the other direction.
Yeah.
But I like DJ, and I want to get him out of New York. He is not a New York guy. It's just a different thing. People hate him. People are gonna hate that. And I'm just saying, if they strike out in the draft, I don't know that I'd even do it this year. Because they can't trade him this year.
Yeah. I was gonna see if I could find the contract. It just came to my head because like
he's like Kyler. He can't. You can't get him this year. So but in like if they do that Russell Wilson, like just I'll cut him the next year, and then I start thinking about that. It would have to be where truly a PFF draft situation happened where like 6 quarterbacks go in the top 10.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's that bad. I think people hate him, and I don't think he's that bad.
I wouldn't do Daniel Jones. It's just interesting that I feel like that becomes a possibility for somebody.
No, if they cut him, I would. I would do the Russell Wilson.
Look at that contract. Maybe
it's awful. Yeah.
It's awful. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that is that would be the interesting part of it because I feel like that could happen. There's a lot of suckers that try to make something happen. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. We live in a sucker economy.
The chat is ready to kill me right now for even agreeing with that. But I stand for. I like him. If he was released, I would say, hey, do you want to come in? Let's say Al Davis Way, former first-round pick, didn't work out.
He's like I said there's bonehead quarterbacks. He's like the ultimate bonehead.
Yeah, he is. He's dumb. No, he's dumb. Yeah, I mean, this is just if they just screwed up over the next 2 years and they just don't have anything, I'd invite him to camp, and then it still wouldn't stop me. I'd have to have him on a new deal for sure. Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's like the Kyler Murray deal where like I still am like they might draft a quarterback at 6 if they love the guy, but I'm like they really shouldn't like this year. Like they should be the team that's answering the phone right now, the Giants, because they should just do suck it up with one more year of Daniel Jones and try to get like a blue chip player. And then try to get out of that contract after this year.
They were looking at Michael Penix hard. I mean, they met him after he started passing, and like I actually think Brian Dable was kind of like working with him a little bit. So yeah, man. But I mean that kind of gets to what we're talking about is should they take Penix at 13? The Raiders, if Penix falls to them at 13, should they take him?
Yeah, I mean. Falls to 13. That's what we're talking. It's so funny that we're talking about falls to 13 now. When last week you and I were talking about trading back and possibly.
I mean, I feel like the Giants might take him. Man.
No, you're right.
They're studying him hard. They might take him at 6.
A toothpick, a pro day changes everything. Like that toothpick changes everything meme. Like a pro day changes everything. Like we're talking about now. Like it's crazy, right? Like the market. Like I've never seen him.
I knew it would.
Ping pong back and forth. Like top of first round, back of first. I remember I'd see him in the early mock drafts going like, whoa, like this guy's going to go high. Like they were high on Washington. And then it's, we'll see. And then, whoa, this guy's got Washington in the playoffs. This guy's a beast. And then Michigan destroyed him. He's late first, early second, maybe back end of the first. And then now it's, can the Raiders get him at 13? Is he going to be there? Which is wild. It's always what are you passing over? And I know fans will say, if you see your guy, you got to take him. And again, if he's the Raiders guy, you're correct. You got to take him. You cannot risk that. What I would say is like, okay, Troy Fontaine, right? Like, what would you rather have right now for it's not just 2024, but they don't have to commit to either quarterback that they have right now, Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. So if you found a blue chip tackle at 13, which I think fans would agree that's probably our biggest need right now, that at corner, but let's say tackle because it's a rich draft at that position. if you're passing on a blue chip tackle that you feel is a blue chip, like a Fontenot, in Fuanga, and any of these guys, you then are saying, would I rather have that and then Aiden O'Connell and then roll the dice again next year, Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, or do I want to take Michael Penix and then hope I can get another tackle, another corner, or anything like that? Like, and then you're rostering 3 quarterbacks this year.
Yeah.
One of which, and I'm sorry, like with Penix, I don't like see the like franchise changer. And I was wrong on CJ Stroud last year, so perhaps this is one of those situations, and I'll happily admit it. But he just doesn't seem like a sprint the card in kind of guy to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, so with me on this, I mean, I would take him at 13, and
Over like, so say he's sitting there with your favorite tackle. That would reasonably be there, not alt or anything. You would do it.
I mean, yeah, I probably would. I probably would because
Okay.
the reason is, I mean, college offenses, all right. So college offenses are totally different than the NFL offense, right? So I mean, these guys are fully spread out on these hashes, and the reason why Washington was playing the way they did is because you could stretch the field with Michael Penix, and he can throw across the hashes, and he can throw a deep 30-yard post to the other side because so they were able to stretch the field, and there wasn't a lot of middle of the field throws. Now, when he did throw the middle of the field, I mean, he's a gunslinger, so he's always kind of in traffic and stuff like that. And he's throwing these crazy throws inside of there, and he's not the most accurate guy in the world. All right, so I'm not gonna even. He's more accurate than Drake May is, though, but he's not the most accurate guy in the world himself. But I think when you have a big arm like that, that it would if they take him, you can stretch the field a lot, right? You know you can stretch the field. Okay. I think you're getting a mature guy, right? You're getting a mature guy. Usually mature guys can play early. Like even if they took Bo Nix there, I mean, yeah, if they took Bo Nix, I'm not like low on Bo Nix or anything like that, but they took Bo
61
Nix,
starts.
right?
61 starts.
61, that wouldn't even bother me as much either because I know what you can do with Bo Nix, and these guys are all kind of seasoned, right? And we're gonna talk about quarterback history in a second, but you're gonna see most of these guys are seasoned and they hit the numbers that you would like for quarterback history to be good in the NFL, right? So since a lot of these guys hit those numbers, it's like, okay, if I took any of those guys, I think I might be able to get at least a top 20 guy out of it, right? And with Penix, seeing his athleticism, you're like, maybe I can get like a top 10 guy. But is the accuracy? Is that more the offense that he's in? And sometimes he could just get a little erratic, and he could just miss on some throws just because of it. Or do you sometimes take those big throws? Sometimes you could help him out a little bit with the run game and just let him throw deep on some play actions early on and mix it up with him. That's what's the hard part of these quarterbacks is like, I don't know if he can play in the NFL because his offensive coordinator is smart and use the hashes to destroy teams. So like it's tough that way. But if I'm betting on the talent, then yeah. But to be honest, like if you asked me Bo Nix, I'd probably be like, yeah, I might take Bo Nix because I just feel like they're going to be top 20 guys. I feel like even then. So because Nix, I could see him not being like the sexiest guy in the NFL, but he gets the job done. And he's athletic
I
too.
still think Sean Payton's going to take him. I think.
Yeah. See, he should have showed off his athleticism.
Yeah.
So no, that was smart for him not to
that
do
was his calling card when he was at Auburn. They were like, I remember them calling him White Cam when he first got there.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
I don't know. He's not. It's wrong. But like, I just mean, like he's a big dude that can move around. He even intrigues me a little bit. It's 13. 13 is what's, and like to me, when I go between, do I take him here or do I take him there? To me, that's not. I'm already having the conversation, and that means I'm not sure. And to me, when I'm passing on a tackle that I love, now again, if Jaden Daniels magically gets out of the top 5 and the Raiders trade up for him, I end up liking him more. And like that, I have questions about his health, but I understand what they're betting on. They're betting on just lighting the league on fire.
Yeah.
With Penix, we're trying to chase like a CJ Stroud thing, and I think that's going to become the next trend.
Yeah.
And I don't know that's. I think CJ Stroud's a little bit more of an outlier. of we didn't see this in college. It's going to just explode when it comes into NFL.
Yeah.
And you're right about and like maybe we are seeing a trend, and maybe Penix is part of that good thing. I'm already having a discussion in my head to where if the board just falls and like maybe we're talking about tackle 4 or Arnold's already gone, and like you're at corner and you're like, well, Penix is there, then yeah, for sure. But like there's Troy Fontenot that could be there, Fuanga, Arnold, like Terrion Arnold. I do take Penix over a corner in the draft because I want them to go trade or sign a veteran right now in that secondary. That secondary needs leadership more so than it needs young talent. So, anyways.
All right. So, I was about to say, let's get some of these questions, man.
Yeah, it's been popping in the chat. I've been seeing them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Marcus, if May and Penix are both at 13, who do you pick? I take May.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're right. I think it's for the same reason. It's like May, it's just like that, like, damn, if it works, you are like if he ends up becoming like a Herbert type quarterback, and I have my issues about Herbert, but if he ends up becoming that, like the Raiders are like insanely good when that happens. Like Penix, I feel like it has to go like a more sloggish route for him to be like elite. That Drake May has more like elite upside to me, and that's just what we're talking about when we're taking a quarterback high.
Yeah. See the thing, because the thing is with Penix, like when he showed that athleticism, I think he really showed his upside. I think that's the kind of thing with my mind is like we're looking for that type of athlete. But I will say with May, I think May is more pro ready than him though, because like I said, May sets protections, right? He sets protections on film. He usually makes the right read. I mean, will it go over the guy's head? I don't know. It depends on how much he gets hit. But if we're keeping him clean, is be right on the money. If he's getting hit a lot, it might go over the guy's head. So, like, it's that's the thing with May. Like, I kind of see that his floor is high. I think the thing with May is he's a project to get to where people want him to be.
Right.
I think from day one, though, I think he has a pretty high floor because he is mentally up here. He could do a lot of the good quarterback stuff. He like moves linebackers with his eyes. He does a lot of cool stuff on film like that. So he is a little bit advanced mentally as a quarterback, but it's the feet, man. I don't.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It's the feet. I can't.
I agree, and you wonder if you can fix that. Can you fix that? We'll see. Footwork's tough. I think a lot of people that like JJ like his feet. You know what I mean? In the pocket, they like his feet. So, and that's why you see the rise in JJ. It's tough to correct. Tough to correct habits, dude. Tough to correct. But I'm with you. I'm with you though. You got to just try with May. Like with Penix, I feel like we're chasing like a ceiling where I still have to have this elite supporting cast. With May, it's like, damn, we might have an off year where like a couple guys left in free agency at wide receiver, or down a little bit, but he's able to create a little more on his own,
Yeah, Jordan Love versus Penix. Who's the better prospect? Jordan Love.
Great question. Great. Oh, interesting. I disagree. Only because I think Jordan Love benefited from situation a lot. And I don't. Okay, you could look. Maybe that's correct. I thought Jordan Love was really sloppy in college. I know he's playing at Utah State, but like he threw a lot of interceptions at Utah State.
Yeah, his like redshirt junior year, his redshirt sophomore year, man. That film is crazy. Yeah. So that is my thing. So as a prospect, it was like, is he the guy as a redshirt junior, or is he the guy as a redshirt sophomore? And he's answered that question in NFL. So he's the guy. He was the guy. He was a redshirt sophomore, because as a redshirt sophomore, every throw that we see right now, we saw last year in the playoffs, all those throws, he did those at Utah State. So,
yeah, right. Well, what I mean is like, okay, I think Jordan Love benefited. And the Raiders are just not this situation right now. They don't have the NFL MVP on the roster at quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, so he was drafted to piss Aaron Rodgers off. I mean, let's be real. Like, that's what he was drafted for. Jordan Love is a weird situation. Now, I think if they had an average quarterback there in Green Bay, I think Jordan Love would have sat a year. And I do think there's benefit to sit a year. Even if the Raiders take Drake May, I don't want him to start right away. He might be able to. He might blow camp away. But I think it like should still be like, dude, you take a year, learn the offense. Like, I still think we should get back to that as a as a league, right? We should get back to that. But, with Jordan Love, he got 4 years, and teams just aren't going to give a first round pick 4 years on the bench. Like, it's just not going to happen. 3 years, maybe, right? It might have been 3 years, but like either way, that's just not going to happen. And I think Jordan Love learned a lot in the same way that Aaron Rodgers learned. That's just the Packers way, dude. Maybe that's just the Packers way. I mean, they traded for Favre, like, who was kind of on the scrap heap. Like, it was, that's just the way they go. That is an organizational thing, I think, the way with Jordan Love. And he is talented. He has a huge arm. And I like the way he moves and stuff. Like, he can move around and like that. But I think Penix is a better prospect. I'm just kind of like, with the injuries and the kind of like, I really need perfection around him, I feel like, to truly ascend as a team.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't sprint the card in at 13. Right.
Yeah, because also what really turned me off from Penix was the Senior Bowl. So that's what turned me off of him. It wasn't.
He did have a bad Senior Bowl. Him and Bo Nix, right?
Yeah. And Bo Nix was better than him at the Senior Bowl, right? But he still won Senior Bowl Player of the Week. So I don't know what he was doing in the classroom, but he was just missing so many easy throws that week. You know what I mean? And Spencer Rattler looked better than him. So that's the thing. That creeps back in my mind sometimes too, and I'm like, should I take him at 13? Have I watched Ohio State? Nate Curtis work? I have before, but not recently. I really didn't stick in my mind too much, but I did used to. I watched a couple of games on TV of him, but I haven't really got too deep in him. I said Burton from Bama was the first question here.
That's my guy. I told you to watch him earlier this week. You need to.
Yeah. I gotta check out Burton. I have watched Kamari Lasser. He definitely runs a 4.6 on film.
Who?
Definitely runs a 4.6 on film.
Ouch.
Good zone guy though. You put him in a zone, play some cover 2, put some cover 3. Just don't let him put him up man or a fast guy.
Colts will draft him. He'll play Gus Bradley cover 3, probably. Watch.
Yeah, man. Those Tennessee guys are running by him the whole time, and Joe Milton just wasn't even throwing the ball. He was just running for his life. That dude is a 4.6. Maybe he could play safety because he's great in zone. Okay. I don't know. Maybe you should move him. Can you move the chains, extend drives? Yeah, I still think of that. Nick's Penix, because this is actually, especially in high pressure situations. Yeah, I actually do agree with that. I think in high pressure situations, I think Nick's is a little bit better. It's just Nick's is just not aggressive.
No, right?
Be aggressive, man. Like I know you. He was just making the right decision all the time. It's like he was trying to prove something. Like, you be the wild man a little bit too. Wow yourself. It's all right, man. Be the wild man, because when he had to against Washington in the Pac-12 championship game, he has some really cool throws.
Played his ass off in that game.
Yeah, the wild man came out. That's what I want to see. If he had more wild man on film, I think he would be a little riser. Would you rather have JC Latham plus O'Connell or just Michael Penix?
That goes to what I was saying. If that's your guy at tackle, say that's your tackle 1 or even 2, do you take him over the quarterback 5 in the draft or 4?
Yeah.
Depending on the board. Yeah.
So all right, so we'll get back to your questions here, guys. I'm gonna try to save all your questions. We'll get back to them. I do, before we get into my little quarterback history thing here. Jared Verse. Okay. I know that there's not a lot of defense talk. Everybody's like, offensive line, everybody's going top 7. Offensive line.
He's a stud.
What if he's there at 13? What do you think Tom Telesco does?
The people that think the Raiders can't use a huge defensive line rotation, like there's no need for that. I disagree. I mean, it just gives you so much versatility. Now you have what are you passing on, right? If my top tackle's there, I go my top tackle over Jared Verse, or even tackle 2. Probably I would go over Jared Verse, because I don't think he's generational. I think he's just a very good defensive end that's going to project well into the NFL. But like I said, if you're in one of those scenarios, you're like, nothing looks that great. Jared Verse is there, absolutely sprint the card in. I think he's a good player. I mean, it gives you a lot of versatility. Again, we don't want Max Crosby playing 90 whatever % of snaps his whole career. And last year it kind of showed that he probably shouldn't, and as he gets older, and I'd love to put Max Crosby in between Myles Garrett snaps and what Max Crosby plays now. If you get in that 700 snap thing and you have a Jared Verse, Tyree Wilson develops into a nice player. Christian Wilkins is there, but he's it's a second contract. You just never know. And then you, again, you're these drafts, it's okay to hate the pick on draft night for a need. But if you drafted a good player, which I do believe Jared Verse is,
Yeah.
that's fine with me.
Yeah, because Tom Telesco, he took Derwin James for no reason, and that
Yeah.
always that sticks in my mind because I mean I don't think people talk about him enough. It's always AP because AP's always he's in the camera the most. And people love interviewing him, right? And then Tom Telesco just in the background, just in the lab, which I kind of like. I kind of like that Tom Telesco gets no really play for anything. Nobody really cares to talk to him right now. They all want to talk to AP. And they want to know AP's opinion on things. And Tom Telesco was even at the owners or the annual meeting or whatever. So I mean, if he wasn't on TV, right? He might have been there like in the shadows or something.
Right.
He took Derwin James for no reason. So it's just interesting who he's going to take. And man, I don't know. He's going to go by his board. That's what I'm saying. So if Michael Penix is the guy on his board, he's going to take Michael Penix. If Jared Verse falls and he's like Jared Verse at the top of my board, Tom Telesco might take Jared Verse. And that's,
no, what we're highlighting here is that Tom Telesco, I don't think Tom Telesco is a team needs guy. I've already seen a lot of people like my dad, right? Like he'll be like, these are my 3 teams. He's a Rams fan. These are the 3 Rams needs. If they deviate from that, he's like, what? Why are they drafting that guy? And that's just the way most people look at the draft. It's like, well, we need this, but it's like, okay, but stop asking a rookie to fill that hole year one. Right. Yeah. Even year one, if you have needs, you need to be getting people who are already played in the NFL a lot of times to fill that. Now, your need, if you're in the draft, should be look at my contracts. And I saw a question in there. I don't know if you want to highlight it or not about Kuntz, about Malcolm Kuntz. If they were to draft a defensive end first round, I thought this was an interesting question.
Yeah.
If they were to draft a defensive end in the first round, like Jared Verse, Tyree Wilson's developing fine. What do they do with Malcolm Kuntz's contract? Malcolm Kuntz has had one very good season in the NFL, and it was really one half in terms of production, production. I don't know that I can cement Malcolm Kuntz as a 10-year Raider right now. I just don't know that I can. Yeah, even though I like him. I know he's a royalty on this show because Marcus called him in the draft. Like, I know he's royalty on this show. I love what I saw from him last year, but I am not cementing him as an all-pro for years to come. If I don't have multiple all-pros at a position, and one that I view as an all-pro is sitting there, a future all-pro in the draft, welcome aboard.
Yeah. See, of course, I'm really high on Malcolm Kuntz. I always have been. And, I mean, when you got Ben like that, bro,
agreed.
I would pay him now. I would just say, look at that Ben.
I would too. And I think that's
he's skating on the ground.
Yeah, I think that's the plan. Telesco watched him wreck that Charger game. I mean, he was going crazy in that Charger game. No, I agree with you. I'm just saying, I would pay him, but dude, the Eagles go 8 deep on the defensive line.
I know.
Teams do that. To me, it doesn't stop me from doing anything, for having more. Antonio Pierce was on a defensive line that was arguably the best defensive line of all time. He was not on a defensive line, but he was behind a defensive line that was, single-handedly defeated Tom Brady in the playoffs with a few big Eli Manning throws, in the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with this, actually.
And then that's even better if you do that, right? That's even better if you do that. If you have the solution and Malcolm Kuntz on a franchise, yeah.
Because we keep real, Kuntz beat the Chiefs by himself.
He did. No, he did. And I don't know much about him as a person, right? I don't know much about him as a person. But even AP Telesco, I didn't really hear him talk about him too much. Do they love him?
I hope they're watching film. I hope. I pray. I pray that they watch film and they're like, look, watch the guy skate across the ground. It was just last year. Because he became a better run defender too, right? I mean, he was actually a pretty good run defender too, and that's why I'm a little worried about Tyree Wilson, because Tyree Wilson, he better figure it out. He better figure it out inside, because
and maybe that's why you're doing Verse. Right, because the last regime drafted Tyree Wilson and it didn't work out, and maybe that's why you draft a Verse or a Latu or something like that, and you're going okay, that's fine. Look, Tyree, that wasn't my guy. I understand that's a sunk. You sunk the ship there. I'm a Tyree Wilson guy. I think he can be disruptive, but even then, these fans, Raider fans, need to understand that it's okay to have problems at positions to be like, man, we have so many good players at this position.
Yeah.
It's just, when's the last time that's happened for the Raiders? So I think this is a foreign land for fans.
Yeah, that's true. All right, we kind of did get deep into the scenarios here, but that's what we do on the show.
What we
So
do.
let's get into my little drop back
Please.
study. QB draft history. So I was seeing the age thing. I'm like, does the age really matter? Right. So I was like, gonna dive and count all the ages, but I started doing some other stats with it, like dropbacks, playoffs and stuff. And I found a pattern with dropbacks that I think is super interesting with this draft class. And it's gonna make you guys laugh. Okay, we're gonna laugh at this at the end.
I'm ready for this.
Are you guys ready for this? Because it's gonna be funny. All right, so a couple of things first, right? Let's make sure you gotta get this right here. Hold on. All right. So we're gonna start off with over 1,000 dropbacks. All right, because there's a difference in making an NFL and not making an NFL. I'm just showing you guys this is crazy. I'm like, if it's this easy, why don't NFL teams just do this, right? But okay, so guys who had over 1,000 dropbacks coming out since 2016. Okay, we got 15 players, over 1,000 dropbacks. We got 18 Pro Bowls. We got 4 All-Pros. We got 8 second contracts with the same team. We got 19 4,000-yard seasons. We got 24 playoff appearances. All right. So that's what guys with over 1,000 dropbacks that are drafted in the first or second round. Okay. Now I know there's some fourth round guys in there that can mix in, but every guy that's drafted after the second or third round is like a senior. He has 1,000 dropbacks. All right. So we're talking about first and second round here. These are the high level elite guys. All right. So let's look at some of those guys, who they are. Okay. So add this here. Get this stupid thing on here. Boom. All right. So can you guys see that? Should I make it? You want me to zoom in a little bit?
If you can zoom in a little.
All right, zoom in a little bit here.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah. That'll work.
That'll work.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you see some of these guys. So you got, one's Kenny Pickett, right? What can you do with that? Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts, Daniel Jones, Baker Mayfield, Josh Rosen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Jared Goff, Paxton Lynch. All right. So those are like all the top 20 quarterbacks in the NFL right now, basically. Right. You see, it's pretty equal, 4,000 yards, playoff appearances, pretty equal. These are all the guys, right? This is what you like. And you see there's not a lot of redshirt sophomores on here. They all got over 1,000 dropbacks. It's crazy how just when I look at that, and it's like, okay. So that's a key factor. You got to have over 1,000 dropbacks, right? For safety. Okay. Now I'm not saying one of these work. You saw Paxton Lynch is on there. So you could draft Paxton Lynch.
That's so funny that John Elway was just looking at like Paxton Lynch and being like, he's just like me.
You could draft Paxton Lynch, All right. So under 1,000, which we got our special man we got the anomalies here. Okay. So under 1,000 dropbacks, there's 14 players. Okay. Still under, they'd like to draft guys under 1,000 dropbacks, guys. So we got 8 Pro Bowls, 0 All-Pros, 3 second contracts with the same team, 7 4,000-yard seasons, and 10 playoff appearances.
Insane.
So let's go ahead and check out who these guys are. We got 3 here. All right, so with this one, we got CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, the whole 2021 class that got traded, Mac Jones, Kyle Trask, hasn't played yet, couldn't beat up Baker Mayfield, Tua Tagovailoa. All right, Tua. Right, he might be number 4 with the second contract. Kyler Murray got a second contract. Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Deshaun Kaiser, and Carson Wentz.
That's an ass pack, dude.
It is kind of crazy. When I did this, I was like, you know what? I feel like somebody's done this before. I feel like this is not that simple. I feel like this is way too simple. This is not. Somebody's had to think of this before, right?
You ever thought about finding Telesco's email and just emailing him this?
I should, man. I should.
Oh, my bad. I sent that to the wrong person. Anyways,
Yeah.
just try it with him.
I mean, this basically is Parcells rules. If you think about it, I mean, if you play 4 years, you could have 1,000 dropbacks. Especially back then. Like back then, they didn't throw in college; it was all option. Those guys threw like 200 games a year, so they had to play 4 years to get 1,000.
Right. True.
Oh man. So yeah, it's just look at this list. I just look at it sometimes. It's like, man, Josh Allen's really the only good one.
Yeah. And if there's ever an anomaly, I mean, like he was a guy you could definitely bet on. You saw the traits, but it was kind of like, man, is this guy ever gonna do I have to turn him into Taysom Hill later? Like that was kind of the thing with Josh Allen. Like I might eventually have to turn him into Taysom Hill. And you don't want to. If you chase Josh Allen, Tyreek Hill, those types, you get in trouble.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It just tripped me out. Like literally, everybody that got traded, like Zach Wilson hasn't got traded yet, but they're all bums, right? Like bums.
So right? The 2021 class is like basically on there, which you could have saved us a year of draft hype with this.
Literally,
right? I mean, I know they are the data, so we didn't know as much before them, but like to me, it's like, damn, like that class was hyped as much as this year's was. By the way, don't let we're so recency bias. That class was hyped as much as this one was. But look at these guys; they didn't play a lot of football.
No, they didn't play a lot of football at all. I mean, like Mac Jones was dumb. That was a dumb one. Justin Fields. You already see it, how that happened. Trey Lance was really bad. I'm so mad. I'm low-key mad. I like Anthony Richardson after looking at this.
I still do. I'm not going down with that ship. I still love the reckless, like welcome to jackass quarterbacks.
Derek has a question. I'm getting there, Derek. We're gonna get there. It's gonna be funny. But I want to make a quick point with something else real quick. So if you go back to let's do this. To this other one here. Go back to 4 here. The only guy who didn't make it is Kenny Pickett with his 1,900. Okay. I think that's just super interesting to me, even though he wasn't bad. Okay. Kenny Pickett's not bad in the NFL. I think he's just didn't produce touchdowns. Right. I mean, he didn't lose a lot of games. Right. Had some good comebacks at the end. He's not awful in the NFL.
No.
I mean, Steelers fans will disagree, but because he didn't throw any touchdowns. He did like 12 touchdowns in like 2 years. Yeah. That's embarrassing. I get it. It's awful. You can't.
They'll win a game for the Eagles this year.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, very possibly. But you've seen even Jalen Hurts is on here, so it's just. But I just want to point that out. That is probably the most dropbacks out of this list, and he's probably. Bryce Young barely made over 1,000. But so did Joe Burrow. So I mean, we're not talking about. I mean, I still think Bryce Young has a chance to be pretty good. I think we're
agree. I agree.
But I didn't want to point out Pickett there. All right, so let's get to these other guys here. So let's get to. I did the top 7 quarterbacks basically on my list. This is not an order, guys. This is not an order. Okay, I just want to let you know. All right, so. All of them who's supposed to have this high buzz, there's only one guy who's under 1,000, and that's JJ McCarthy.
Wow, interesting. And he does look like Zach Wilson, like I mean, literally, like that. I saw the side by side. It's kind of weird how much they're tempting us. Like,
yeah,
and I like him. I do like him. I think he's better. I think he has better pocket awareness than Zach Wilson did. Once I saw Zach Wilson's tape of him just running away from clean pockets, I was like, oh, this guy stinks. But JJ, but again, this number is not nothing, and that is the knock on JJ is that he just hasn't played.
Oh, I forgot Bo Nix. My bad. But Bo Nix, he hit it. I forgot to put Bo Nix on.
Yeah. Bo Nix has like 40 million dropbacks.
Yeah, he was. I think he was 1,500. I thought I put him on here.
Yeah. Man. So we're with the COVID year. Maybe perhaps we've just got a class of just a bunch of vets that have played football, and maybe that elevates this class a little bit.
That's what I was thinking. But it goes to what Kenny Pickett is, right?
Right. Right. True.
Are you a finished product? Like, I think Jaden Daniels is a finished product. Like, he's coming in. This Jaden Daniels is Jaden Daniels, right? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Jaden Daniels is going to be Jaden Daniels. I don't know how much he's going to change, but you see the explosiveness. You see how he's going to be. I think it's kind of like, yes, we know what Jaden Daniels is. Like, how much is it going to get better? Hopefully, there's little things he can tweak, he can get better at. But man,
Jaden can single-handedly like flip a game though. That's like, he will be able to do
yeah,
that. Like when you're down 10 points, he can make you down 3 in like 20 seconds. Like that, it can happen. And that's why you bet on that. What Jaden Daniels might not be a finished product is, can I put 15 pounds on that dude? You know what I mean? And
yeah.
is he still as explosive? That's like kind of the big question about Jaden Daniels. I feel like I know everything about Jaden Daniels I need to know, and it's all about like, do you think he's going to last in the NFL? We saw that video that you didn't care for, of him getting knocked around NBA with the NBA style content creator people. Like, I know you didn't care for that. I will say he does run into hits a
He
little
does,
crazy.
man. But
So
like,
no. I mean, like, what I mean is like, can I add like 50? If you're gonna play like that, can I add 15 to 20 pounds over 2 or 3 years on your frame and still get the same Jaden Daniels? That's the question about him. But he's played a lot of football.
yeah, man. So, yeah, sorry for guys for getting Knicks. I thought I put Knicks on here.
Nix
I
has
even
played a
looked it
lot
up.
of ball. Nix has played a lot of ball. If you've watched college football, he's played a lot of ball.
Yeah, see, but the thing is, he's under the 1,500 number though, because he didn't start throwing the ball a lot until later on, right? I mean,
That's
yeah,
true.
against Malzahn, they were running the ball. They weren't doing a lot of
That's
throws.
true. That's crazy. So yeah, it's almost like what are you playing for, Army or something? Like, dude, damn, it's like playing 61 starts and throwing under. You said under 1,500?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, like yeah, he was. I think he might have been a little bit. He was more like 1496. I swear he was somewhere like around there, just
Mm-hmm.
because he didn't start throwing the ball till later. So he's not over the 1,500 like, I mean, like Rattler is, or even Penix or Daniels. Like, Caleb and Drake May are kind of right where you want it to be. Kind of Pratt's a little on the higher end, but he's kind of like a little more old school, true senior type of thing where you want him to be at that. But yeah, so it is interesting because a lot of Jaden Daniels dropbacks aren't throws, right? I mean, that's the thing too. So it kind of, yeah, man, this kind of blew my mind a little bit when I was look at
It's
it.
weird. It's so obvious, but like it's shocking how obvious it is, I guess is what I mean. Like, it's kind of like, okay, this is like drunk guy at a bar. It's like, I want guys that play a lot of college football. And everyone's
Yeah,
like, dude, it's not that simple. And you're like, no, it is that simple for the most part. Like even then, even if you draft a guy who's played a lot of college football and it doesn't work out, like a Kenny Pickett, the Steelers weren't handicapped by that pick. That didn't like set their franchise back decades.
yeah,
They can do it again and perhaps hit on the same type of guy.
exactly. And what to say about JJ McCarthy? The funny thing about JJ McCarthy, he played 40 games. So that's the interesting part of him is he played more games than the guys who usually have that low number.
Right. I
But
see.
it's even more interesting. So why didn't you throw the ball at all if you're that seasoned or that of a veteran? Like this year, see, like last year, you shouldn't have been throwing the ball. That's fine. But this year, Jim Harbaugh should have been airing it out with you. So why wasn't
Yeah.
he?
Yeah. I mean, some could say they just were kicking the other team's ass.
Yeah, there's that too.
And Alex Smith, we saw the Alex Smith, Jim Harbaugh years. Like, they didn't really ask Alex Smith to do a damn thing for them, like for a while, like other than run the football with Frank Gore, dump it off to Vernon Davis, and like I understand why JJ didn't throw a lot. But I also understand people saying like, what if I ask him to, and then why would I take that so high? Because I don't
Yeah.
know, like I just don't have evidence of it. JJ is an enigma, and I think he should fall in the draft. I think it would benefit him more to fall in the draft because I do think there's something there, but he's not going to.
Yeah. So I got a couple quick questions. Did huge Josh Allen's JUCO dropbacks I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
But I mean,
That was where he's wearing affliction shirts, like, dude, like wearing those Christian like Hot Topic shirts.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
like
I get,
yeah.
can you factor that in though? Can you factor that in? I don't know.
No, you cannot.
Uh,
I'll say right now, you can't. Does anyone talk about Cam Newton's junior college year? No. Does anyone talk about Aaron Rodgers' junior college years in college? No. Their career started at those colleges. We watch them on TV.
Yeah. So this question, does this make you higher on pretty much all the QBs based on besides JJ based on? Yes, it does. I would be terrified to take JJ if I I'd
Even
be
at
terrified.
13, if they just sat there and said we're going to sit him for a year, you'd be terrified. Wow.
He didn't throw the ball. It's tough. I mean, and it's
Yeah.
like, why didn't you? Because the thing is, see, I went backwards. I went back in time I went back in time and I saw Andrew Luck's. I was interested when I saw JJ McCarthy. He had the same coach, and it was 15 years ago. Different college football. The spread's not like that prevalent. You know, Jim Harbaugh's still going under center. Guess how many dropbacks Andrew Luck had? Like 1,200, bro.
Yeah.
So obviously, Jim, if you think the guy can throw, you'll throw. And it's modern time now. I'm not saying that's still modern football, but college football is a spread offense game.
Yeah, agreed.
You don't play under center with JJ. He's in a spread.
Yeah. No, I agree. I would have that same kind of like, oh boy, JJ. I do like him. And I like his footwork. I like the way I like it in the sample size that we have. I like the way he moves around in the pocket and it looks pretty under control. Yeah. But you're right. Like the numbers are the numbers. It's like, what if I'm down 10 in the fourth quarter against Patrick Mahomes? Have I seen JJ McCarthy do it? The answer is no.
I mean, Roman Wilson saved JJ McCarthy's whole draft stock because he jumped up and made
it. I do like him.
Catch.
I do like him.
Kool-Aid McKinstry is about to have his first round interception. It was a flip of first rounders. Kool-Aid McKinstry is about to have a pick six, and he's about to be in the first round because of it. And then JJ McCarthy's going first round because Roman Wilson jumped up and caught it. Because
so that ball was the answer is if you draft Penix at 13, Roman Wilson round 2.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. Andrew Luck was generational though, but my point is he threw with him, right? He made 3 passes because he's generational.
Man, Luck was, I mean,
he threw passes because he's generational.
He's one of the most forgotten about, like, insane prospects. Like, he was so good.
Yeah. So how does age factor into this? Usually a lot of those guys these days, when they have over 1,000 dropbacks because of the way the passing game is now, they can just play 3 years. Like Patrick Mahomes had 3 years, Deshaun Watson 3 years.
Yeah.
They all come out around 21. So like 21 turning 22 in the season is really what a good age. The latest is probably Joe Burrow, which you turn 24 when the playoffs happened.
We'll have to adjust with the post-transfer portal too. I think the as far as age, like we will have to adjust. That's going to become a totally new thing with the transfer portal. Like we can't compare these guys to 10 years ago where you had to sit a year if you were going to transfer.
What I think about JJ, it'll be the refusal to throw left or scramble left. That is a very interesting aspect.
Zoolander is his name. Derek Zoolander. He can't turn left.
I don't know. Is that Jim Harbaugh? See, that's the thing. Is that Jim Harbaugh not wanting him to throw left? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like the draft Twitter guys are like they come up with something for nobody that's not Drake May, right? Everybody that's not Drake May, they come up with something. So I don't know. I never really thought of that when I watched JJ McCarthy, because he really just threw down the middle of the field with him, right? Which is their complaint for the other two guys. The other guys don't throw in the middle of the field. JJ McCarthy does that, so he doesn't throw left. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It makes sense because he doesn't roll to his left, or he always rolls to his right. That is something that I did notice, but there was a couple times against Bama he rolled to his left. So like a couple throws actually. He rolled to his left and made some pretty good throws. So I don't know. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of nitpicking on Twitter right now that just is like not nitpicking on Drake May, which I think is a bunch of Drake May fans.
Well, I think it's because they're responding to the fact that I don't think the NFL is that high on Drake May, and I think Twitter wants to be different and be like, you know what I'm saying? Like they want to be like, well, we found the guy that the NFL missed. That's all what NFL Twitter is we found the NFL's dumb, we're smart. That's like that's how draft Twitter operates, and that's how they get their clicks. And I think like and Drake May does have enough like, whoa, that was crazy throws, like to kind of feed people. It works on me a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. But I think the fact is like you just don't hear a lot of smoke from like the NFL talking heads, and you hear it all on Twitter.
Yeah.
I think.
I agree, dude. I mean,
I'm not drinking moonshine, by the way. Somebody asked if I'm drinking moonshine. I'm a little bit of a hippie. I drink water out of a mason jar. I have a beer going too. Dude, I'm 33. You have to drink like a mason jar of water for every beer you have.
I got a mason jar of water too, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's weird. Why'd you ask me if I was drinking moonshine? What is that supposed to mean? Yeah. That'd be insane if I was drinking beer and moonshine at the same time doing a Raiders podcast. I guess I'd fit right in, but yeah. Yeah.
One player wish list from draft. For me, just because I heard he's falling, I want Jackson Powers Johnson to play center. Yeah. But he's falling. And to say the NFL doesn't see him as a top 25 pick, I was like, oh, that's really cool. I like that.
Weird.
Thanks, NFL. I really appreciate
that. He has some injury stuff, right? Or it might.
Yeah, he got injured at the Senior Bowl. It didn't work out and stuff like that. And they're low on centers. So
yeah, that's fair. Hey, that's something to think about round 2. Then
exactly.
If the NFL's not high on him, this is why the Raiders are coming from, I would say, 2 regimes that don't really value the consensus board, which nobody knows what that is, but you're able to look around the league and see who values what. A lot of GMs have ways that they think the draft is going to go, and they take what falls to them. But if a Jackson Powers Johnson's there and you're going to go like, okay, I've picked 44, is it worth trading up 10 spots to go get a Jackson Powers Johnson? To me, I say yes. But yeah, that's where you start thinking about that.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I do like Darius Robinson, but
I would go JPJ. I think that would be a steal.
I didn't think he didn't have a chance to be there, but because you could play guard year 1, in my opinion.
I still think that watch the Chiefs go get him or something. Like, just the Chiefs go get like JPJ and just stack that middle of that line. Just keep going middle of the line for the rest of their. Gosh, I would hate it.
Yeah. What else? What others? Have you watched Andrew Phillips, cornerback from Kentucky? No, not yet. I'm actually getting to him tomorrow. Actually, I got to finish up my cornerbacks for the project that we're doing. Do you think Foster can transition to right tackle? Honestly, I think he probably could. Because I think he could play guard too, if you really wanted him to. He is a technician. At the end of the day, I feel like that he would figure it out. He's a very sound technique wise, and I think these guys are a little bit more prime and ready for that when they play tackle these days. I don't think it's kind of the same thing where in the NFL that it's a left tackle is the athletic one and the right tackle is the big fat one, right? I mean, that's how it used to be in the NFL. You got the fat right tackle, and then you have the athletic left tackle who has to block Lawrence Taylor.
Right.
But these guys switch sides now, right? I mean, they're on both sides. Max Crosby.
Oh yeah.
Right side. Like, you can't.
Khalil Mack rushed off the right side a lot of off right tackle all the time. Yeah, for sure.
So tackles become a little bit like if you're coming out as a guy, like you have to be thinking I might play right tackle in the NFL. So I think a lot of these guys are prepared for that. They're training and they're getting ready for that. So I think it's a little bit of an easier transition there. So what else? Reliable insiders on the Raiders draft info we could read on. I
mean, well, you're in the right place. I'll say that much.
I mean,
I can subscribe.
I can give you stats that kind of get you there. And history. I got history. I got stars.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you're talking about draft info. I mean, I guess you'd be talking about like player breakdowns. I mean, there's no channel better than this one. Yeah. I'm not part of that. I'm more of the fun first take guy in the thing. But this channel does have that. If you're not subscribed already, go ahead and just hit subscribe because you will find some very good stuff on there. But I'm not gonna lie, man. The Raiders have missed so much in the draft. It's hurt the draft content. I'll say that much.
And I think a lot of people have, I don't know how often, you know, like some people in the media have actually got it right with they're going to draft too. Like, you know what I mean? Like nobody alerted us about Khalil Farrell. Like I would like to be alerted about that. I definitely wanted to be alerted ahead of time. That was something that we needed to be like. So we're not in shock.
They did say they were going to send the scouts home. Remember, they said that they have a surprise pick at 4, and then we all went, "Damn it!" We didn't know what. It was still a surprise upon a surprise. Like, oh, I thought it was surprise this guy, but they said they sent the scouts home because they didn't want to spoil anything because they had a surprise pick, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah, no, I'm a fan of these guys.
They're fine.
It's just with the draft, man. It's just it's. I feel like it's like Ian Rappaport and those guys, or those are the draft guys, and they don't tell anybody in the local sources unless you're like, Patriots guys or something like that. I mean,
it's the Vicks and the Tashans. I mean, that's who it is. There's nobody else. Yeah, he was asking who we like. I mean, Tashan seems the most plugged in right now. I feel like out of all those guys, but it's tough. I don't think anybody has an in with Telesco yet. It doesn't seem like they do. So if you don't have that, you're not going to know.
Because I would say Daniel Jeremiah, because he is the one who has the in on Telesco.
Oh yeah, that's right. It is the one though. Like that's true. Chargers. Daniel Jeremiah calls Chargers play-by-play. Interesting. It's interesting. Think about it. I mean, I'd be mad if Telesco was chatting it up with him, on the Chargers play-by-play guy. But at the end of the day, Jeremiah is still, to me, how I look at. To me, instead of finding out what the Raiders are doing, I like to find out what the league's doing. And I go with Jeremiah, and then I try to slot what I think the Raiders are going to do with what you've pointed out about Telesco. We'll see.
Yeah. So I see this question: Who is going to take Meek's spot?
They need a veteran. They need a veteran. Adoree Jackson.
Yeah, they're all still out there, man.
I like Xavier Howard, but and I'm fine with the way. I think Telesco's playing the market really well, maybe too well. I think a couple times he should have just taken a few risks, but that's fine. His last job, they took a lot of risks with some bad contracts, so I understand why he's going the other way right now. Xavier Howard or Adoree Jackson, I think to me it would be much better than spending 13 on a corner for me. Gilmore too, but I don't think I feel like Gilmore is not going to be like a Antonio Pierce Raider, but we'll see.
Yeah. So sleeper. So you like the Raiders to draft later on in the draft. I mean Tyrone Tracy for me. So
yeah, I don't have like deep sleepers, but just watch out for that Jeremiah Burton guy. I don't know where he's going to go. He got kicked off. I don't know if he got kicked out of Georgia, but he went from Georgia to Bama. He's played really well, but he's a bit of a head case. But I think that's kind of what Pierce. And I know people go, "Do we want to bring him to Vegas?" I go, "Well, the whole selling point of Pierce is that he can take a Jack Jones and make something good out of him." To me, with Pierce, so take a risk on those guys mid rounds. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. What else we got here? Another question: Gilmore and Nelson. Yeah, I like. I mean, I would take Gilmore just because you can just play him in zone. I think he'll be fine. Yeah, he'll get beat sometimes. But yeah, I mean that's. Hey, I mean it wouldn't be terrible to have Gilmore. PFF guys they're good friends with him. Yeah,
agreed. I brought that up a couple of weeks ago. Steve Palazzolo, who hosts the PFF NFL show, who I do like, he was saying the info got leaked and he didn't seem like it wanted it out there. But he said he talks with Tom Telesco very regularly about his draft model, the PFF draft model. So interesting to see. I would look at PFF mocks as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, kind of answer this question. Any vet DB we should aggressively pursuing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Xavier Howard, those type of guys, man. Definitely want to get at those dudes. I do like him at least. I mean, you can at least play some man with him. I don't know how he is in zone, but he's got to figure that out. Yeah, man. Yeah, cornerback is really deep. You know what I really like at cornerback is Renardo Green from Florida State. I like him.
Okay.
He can play. That dude caught me off guard. I don't know where he's going to go, but he might be in the third round.
I haven't heard his name buzzed a lot, like as far as, day 1, day 2. So we'll see.
He had Malik Neighbors in prison.
Steven Nelson's a good call too, by the way. I do like Steven Nelson. He's still out there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, consistent. He might get beat a couple times, but he's a consistent player. Yeah, I really like Renardo Green, man. That dude is legit. I said, okay, all right, Renardo, you're all right. I mean, he can't stop a fade for some reason. Super weird. But man, outside the 5.
Yeah.
That's
Nice.
what I said. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Man. So all right. Any other questions you got here? Kamara in the 3rd round also be a good pick. Some more running backs too, like Max Milton. I do like Max Milton too. Max Milton had a pretty good game against Marvin Harrison Jr. On film. So yeah, man.
Yeah, a lot of people like Cam Hart too. I am a Notre Dame fan. He played at Notre Dame. He's not. What you guys have to realize, he's not the best corner on the team
Yeah,
right
isn't it
now.
number 20?
Yeah,
Number 20.
Benjamin Morrison is short, which is going to impact him next year, but he is a stud. And he's going to be like talked about as like a guy next year that will be a big thing. Cam Hart is just, if you're talking like 4th round, I'd do it, but like I see him go a little higher in some of these like Raider fan mocks. I'm like, just make sure you know who you're talking about on that defense. Like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Ray Davis. I like Ray Davis. He's definitely a 3rd down back day 1, but I don't know. I just don't know about Ray Davis' ceiling. Like, how good are you actually going to be? So, because one guy I'm not high on as a running back is Trey Benson. I'm not that high on Trey Benson. He's just really fast. You can catch them, but he's like he's an ultimate 3rd down guy. Like, you could throw him a screen and he'll go. But it's more like, can I give him the ball a bunch of times and him be effective? I don't know about that. I don't think he has the best vision in the world as a runner. So yeah, I haven't seen. I mean, you guys throw some names at me. I don't even know.
Yeah, man, damn, he's doing some deep dives.
He's Arkansas corner. So I'm saying there's a lot of corners I still got to watch. I'm about 13 deep, guys. I'm 13 deep in corners.
Wow.
I watch both 3 corners. So I'm trying to get there, man. There's a lot of them. I gotta watch them. Christian Mahogany or Mason McCormick in the 4th. I like Mahogany a lot. So
yeah,
and Mason McCormick. I don't see you guys are on it with the 4th and 5th round picks, man. Y'all are
beast, man.
Y'all is the beast.
Not even April. We're not even in April yet. These people, they're gonna get to the UDFAs, man. Yeah.
I mean, the nose tackles I like are Sweat. I mean, it's kind of the main one. McKinley Jackson. I watched those guys. McKinley Jackson. Yeah, so those type of dudes. Peyton Wilson. I don't know if the Raiders are gonna go linebacker though. But every time I watch Peyton Wilson, he comes off all tape. I don't think Mahogany. I'm Renardo Green all day. I like Renardo Green, and who's the other dude? The dude from Louisville. I can't even think of his name right now. And him and Mike, Sanistril. Is that his?
Yeah, there's Michigan one. Yeah, he could play.
Yeah,
I like the Michigan corner.
That dude is a stud slot.
I think he's like a good Raider, just like one of those guys. What they're trying to do right now. I like him a lot.
Yeah, but I think it's I can't think of his damn name right now. But the cornerback from Louisville, he had a really good Senior Bowl too. He can play too, man. He's a future slot too, man. There's some damn good corners in this draft, man. There's some damn good corners. All right, man. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think we covered it a lot. I mean, just the Penix thing, man. The Penix thing, I think, is going to become a huge thing for the next 3 weeks until the draft starts. 3 to 4 weeks. It's interesting, fun conversation. So we'll see. Thanks for everybody for showing up. I mean, I do tend to think this is the best Raiders content channel. I'm a little biased, but
yeah. No filler here, bro. That's what
no filler.
You ain't got to send the burners over here and tell us that we got filler and all that stuff, man. It's just so weird. I don't know why that.
What's the filler?
I don't know. It's us talking. We talk too much, I guess.
Oh, I mean,
it's just been happening. Yeah. It's the same, like burners and the same 4 comments that every single time that we talk too much. So it's like, come on, bro. Like I'm tired of it. Like you just gotta relax, man.
Yeah. I hope those aren't real people that are sitting there watching things they don't like. You know what I mean? There's enough people here. There's enough people that like it here. So where it's like, nah, I think it's going well. It's fun doing these on Friday night. I enjoy doing this. Yeah. That way, I'd rather annoy a bunch of diehard degenerate Raider fans about some of my Raider speculation rather than close personal loved ones who might be like, oh gosh, shut up, So thanks guys for listening.
Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we're ready to keep this going. We're ready to keep this going. You guys can, everybody else can do their own thing. We're more Jay Dilla over here. That's what I say. We're more Jay Dilla.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? A little underground, little type of thing. You know, that's how I like it. So,
Absolutely.
just chill out, guys. You know, we don't. you just don't want to do this. That's all I'm gonna say. Relax, guys. All right. So we appreciate everybody here. Enjoying everything, joining us. Appreciate the content that we do. Like, hit subscribe button. It's your first time here. We're gonna keep doing stuff like this, man. This is what we do. Draft, the draft's gonna be crazy. We do a live stream for the draft, of course. Get our reactions. You can see our faces when they draft somebody. It's like, that it might be great. That pisses everybody off. I hope, or we get a quarterback. So we got this, guys. We really appreciate everybody that come and join us, right? And me and Matt probably be back with something this weekend. Some more draft stuff. There's plenty of draft content. Go check out the Coach Alexander with Cody Alexander. Man, he killed that. Really broke down Patrick Graham's defense. Really kind of gave a perspective on just football altogether and how the game works. Great content. So go check that out. We're here, guys. Peace it up.
See you guys.
Subscribe. All right.